prettier than all the world. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud of you. You're only one fella's girl, and I'm so proud. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of being loved by you. And it would hurt to know if you never were untrue. Sweeter than the taste of the cherry, so sweet. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud of you. I'm gonna stay from all the people with me. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of being loved by you. I'm so proud of being loved by you. And it would hurt to know if you never were untrue. Sweeter than the taste of a cherry, so sweet. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of being loved by
Hello, everyone. I'm Stella. Thank you for coming to Segue today. This is the 5th event in our series, organized by myself and Jay Sanders. And today we are thrilled to present two legendary artists, William Parker and Marina Abramović. I'll start by introducing William Parker. He'll read. Then we're going to take a very short 2-minute intermission, and then Jay will introduce Marina Abramović, and we'll hear from her. So, William Parker is perhaps best known as a jazz musician who has been active in New York's avant-garde music scene since the early 1970s. Born in the Bronx, Parker came to jazz by way of Ornette Coleman, whose revolutionary rejection of chord structures paved the way for a new, free music. With his primary instrument, the bass, Parker has produced a singular sound that is deeply melodic and rhythmic while remaining totally unpredictable. Over his decades-long career, he has played alongside countless other jazz greats, including Cecil Taylor, Matthew Shipp, and David S. Ware. In addition to being a pioneering composer, Parker is the leader of many quartets, sextets, and large ensembles. Active ones include Little Huey Creative Music Orchestra, the Raining on the Moon Sextet, and the In Order to Survive Quartet, among many others. With these groups, and as a solo artist, he has released over 40 albums. Alongside making music, Parker is an accomplished theorist and writer. His experiments with language take the form of poetry, prose, and oral history. Across his writing, he's invested in the power of stories, which seem to arise from a deep bank of vivid memory. In his chapbook, When You Smile, the Big Orange Mountain Cries, published first in 1997, he produces an extended poem written in all caps and separated into short chunks of text, numbered 1 through 52. While reading it, the numerical division provides a sense of chronology, of time moving forward while introducing pause, so that each section can become its own self-sufficient story. Incorporating experiences gleaned from all his creative endeavors, Parker centers music as a propelling and healing force in his writing, and it consistently remains a beacon of light in an otherwise cold, gray world. He writes at the start of another chapbook, "A word is a sound. On paper, it is an image that is both black and white and in color at the same time. Punkville is a tone poem about the future of yesterday. It speaks to the salvation of humanity through music." In ascribing sound to words, his prose registers in different volumes, not without the heavy resonance of silence. Parker also tells stories through other people's words, like in his 4-part text and sound edition titled Conversations 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is actually available here today. The sprawling collection is made up of lengthy texts interspersed with drawings and photographs, and also includes CD components with recordings of the sessions and improvisational musical interludes. Across these formats, Parker shares monologues and conversations with some of the most important musicians of our time, such as Milford Graves, Butch Morris, Giuseppe Logan, and Andrew Cyrille, just to name a few. With this edition, Parker not only divulges invaluable information, but also boldly communicates an ethic. That is, that artists themselves are the best at telling their own stories, and that their stories should be received through an unfiltered lens, bypassing the owners, producers, and journalists who tend to skew or overlook things. Amidst all of this creative activity, Parker has established himself as a mentor and connector, sharing his deep knowledge of the history of jazz, philosophy, and art with his community. And since 1996, his wife, Patricia Nicholson, has organized the annual Vision Festival, a free jazz, dance, and art festival through her and William's nonprofit Arts for Art. Gathering hundreds of artists every year for the multi-day event, they truly support an entire art ecosystem here in our city. Today, William will be reading from his 1999 book, The Mayor of Punkville, which I think is also available. So without further ado, please welcome William Parker.
This is the book, because I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this in the allotted time that we have, but There's also an album called The Mayor of Punkville on Own Fidelity, which is going to be re-released soon. Okay. Wait, let me get my watch out. Okay, thank you. My name is Bob Jefferson. For the next few days, I'll be telling you a true story about politics, intrigue, magic, and deception. This modest tale will speak about music, sound, and silence, laced with the wonderful beauty of flowers and angels who live in the corridors of hope. The emphasis is on having the correct driving directions when you're traveling. It's so important to know where to make the next turn. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. It was not my fault. I was born in the year of the demonically possessed American idiot. Okay, that's George Bush. And others. and others. It's so important to know where to make the next turn. How did I know that the next 40 years were going to be a period of the big lie? They would tell tremendous lies and do things horrific, things to cement these lies in the foundation of the new regiment. The one thing we have no control over is the time and place we are born. I would much rather have been conceived and delivered in the 1960s, right in the middle of the civil rights movement. All that poetry swirling in the air, all that poetry and music jumping everywhere. I can see the beautiful world hanging on a string, swinging over a candle with a flower on the end of it. I would have liked to be in the body of one of those German shepherd dogs that attacked peaceful protesters in Alabama and Mississippi. I tell you, I would have turned around and attacked the sheriff. I can see it in the headlines now. Attack dog bites redneck. When I was growing, I read about the flower children. I thought, one day to return spreading love to those in need. The country has always been ruled by those who had come from the hot underworld, sometimes called hell. But during the great period of the sublime moron, that's George Bush, evil seemed to intensify. This was a period when those who searched for the evil ones were the evil ones. It was during the great flag-waving epidemic. I remember the winters being extremely hot and the summers chillingly frigid. Global climate changes were beginning to kick in. By the time I was 2 years old, the great white fathers who had run the place for the last 200 years had ruined it. A thin silk thread dangled from a broken branch was holding civilization together. Spring was autumn, and up was down, and left was right, and the devil was God, and God was a face on the dollar bill. a country that called itself the greatest nation in the world had single-handedly destroyed the earth, creating the most bizarre systems of illusion. A house of mirrors more intricate than the quicksand deserts of Wilsonville. Anybody here from Wilsonville? No? Okay. One person? Okay. There were two great science fiction documents written long ago that served as a guideline. One of them was the Declaration of Independence. The other was called the U.S. Constitution. In real time, freedom was a lie so caustic it could lead to permanent brain damage. Truth has never been a part of the fabric. It was all a horrific, mendacious myth. The beauty spot is that every 10 years or so, there's an opportunity to escape this syndrome. Revolution was always possible as long as the sun was shining. The word revolution was always laughable to the political intellectuals who did not believe in the other worlds. They would only grasp what they could see. The world of magic, which I needed for my daily existence, was totally dismissed. They called it mumbo jumbo. On the other hand, killing 20 million people in the Great War, that's a concrete gesture? There was nothing great about that or any other war. In the end, it will be music that dances across the skies into the hearts of people. This is what I base my life on. My mother's name was Sarah Walters. My father was Robert Jefferson. The man who would be my father was also a musician, which I found out later on through dreams and visions. We hardly ever traveled to the city except when it was absolutely necessary. Mother had a garden where she grew all kinds of vegetables, including collard greens, potatoes, carrots, corn, and tomatoes. The soil was rich and fertile, like black cornmeal. I remember sitting on the porch of the house, shelling green peas with my mother, who wrote poetry in a leather-bound notebook. At that time, I didn't think life would get any better. My father was a carpenter, a musician. He made cherry wood cabinets, tables, chairs, and pipes. And like many fathers, he was mysterious and reverent. For no apparent reason, feared. These feelings were totally unjustified, as my father never said an ill word to me in his entire life. I guess I was afraid of the reflection of myself that I saw in my father. He was kind and did not choose to engage people with rhetoric or dogmas. On Saturdays and Sundays, he would listen all day to the great music called jazz. Duke Ellington, Count Basie, Coleman Hawkins, Ben Webster, Roy Eldridge, Willis, Gator Jackson, and Eddie Lockjaw Davis. My father rarely spoke, except every now and then he pointed out certain solos on a particular piece of music. Then out of nowhere, he would tell a very funny joke or story. When I was 10 years old, he brought home a curved soprano saxophone in a very hard case that had a hypnotic smell, and he said, "Play this." His face was full of joy, and joy that only comes a few times in one's life. I was moved to tears, and I said, "Sure, Dad, I'll try." I didn't know the implications of it until much later in life. All right, we're going to move on a little bit. And I'm now an adult. And I switched from saxophone to bass. I get a call from the folks in Actiontown, Pennsylvania. It all started one Sunday morning. Hey, Bob, this is Alonzo in Action Town. I know this is the last minute, but the band we had scheduled for tomorrow night canceled. Can you help me out? I didn't get calls very much for gigs. So I said, sure. Most people were born with pre-recorded music chips in their brains. So there wasn't much call for live music at the time. And you had no choice in what kind of chip was put in you. It was like the doctors would just put that chip in your brain and send you off home. And sometimes you liked the music, sometimes you didn't, and it's very difficult to get the chip removed. Who here has had their chip removed? Yeah, a few people. It's difficult, and it's costly, and your health insurance is not covered. So anyway, here we go. How should I build a band? Bob Jefferson and the Cosmic Music Quartet. Hey, Bob, can you make it by 9 p.m.? 9 p.m. load up, 10 o'clock hit. Sounds good to me. We'll be there. We didn't discuss money. There was a standard that was always reasonable. I highly respected and loved all the musicians in the band, as they were always ready to make a gig on short notice. At that time, everyone in the band was living in New York. We departed on the same day around noon. I drove a Mexican-made van from the 1960s that was souped up to meet modern standards. The rest of the band, Tommy Midnight, Billy Forbes, and Semper Thomas, were in the vehicle we called the Green Hornet. Slant six engine, no power brakes, no power steering, but it would always get you where you were going. The grace and beauty of animals we saw on the way were remarkable. All those four legs. As night solidly positioned itself, the deer's skin color changed from black to white. Clouds, trees, we travel. Okay. Now, move on a little bit. The blue stoplight next to Anthony's Diner flickered off and on at an irregular intervals. Hungry and tired, I retreated in this eating establishment for some breakfast. I'm sitting at the counter when two men wearing orange t-shirts walk in. Instead of sitting together, they plop one on my left and one on my right. Orange t-shirt one says, "You ever think of running for mayor? I think it could work to your advantage." Orange t-shirt one, "You'd be in the forefront of the back burner of progress." Orange t-shirt two, "How do you think that would feel?" Orange t-shirt one says, "Can you swallow that without coughing?" Orange t-shirt two says, "I was in the city the other night and all the brothers were sucking on baby pacifiers and riding around in wheelchairs." Listen to that. Listen to that. Do you hear it? Don't you think that these fine fellows need you to lift them out of that? Baby pacifiers and wheelchairs? Well, Bob, I think you're our man. Can you lie? Are you willing to lie for the truth? Are you? Orange shirt 2 says, "Are you willing to drop bombs on little children who live in the faraway distant places?" Orange shirt 1, "All of this is part of the job description. It's the dirty part. The part where you get your nose dirty and your socks down someone's throat, but it's all in a day's work. Can you take a bribe? Can you close hospitals? Can you close schools? Can you kill? Can you press the button? Can you lie? Do you need a minute to think it over? Take all the time you want. After about 36 seconds, an announcement is made. Orange shirt 1 and 2 say simultaneously, "Hey everybody, come meet Bob Jefferson. He's going to be running for mayor. Breakfast is on him." On Main Street, the Crescentville Five, an all-star music band, hands out chewable music cards. That's a scientific upgrade to the ones put in your brain, where now you can have a little bit of a choice and you could chew it, the kind of music you wanted to hear. Let's move on a little bit. 4 months later, okay? An average day in Punkville, which was Crescentville, the nickname was Punkville, begins with a daily parade hosted by the bosses of the crime family. I watched the different men line up in the street. They sign up for the outer space program, which has some very generous benefits. Some of those people, like Joey the sharpshooter, Joey could shoot a man 600 yards away and tell you which way the body was going to fall. Then there was Myron White, one of the most powerful men in the country, owner of gold and diamond mines in South Africa, South America, and Asia. In his spare time, Myron ran a soup kitchen for the homeless. Next came Silly Masawaki. Silly was a drug dealer, mostly cocaine, heroin, and organic methadone. Ice pick, ice tray, ice bucket, ice coffee came next. They were sporting it. They would smuggle in penguins dressed as ice skaters from the North Pole, and then enter them in the competitions and control the betting. Jim, Jimgem, was a political pimp. He laundered money for the big businesses, provided them with governors, mayors, congressmen, judges who could be bought and manipulated to no end. Further down Main Street were shops that were fronts for illegal businesses. Chocolate Cake was a Black African who controlled the perfume and cosmetic industry in the Black community. His partner, Vanilla Cheesecake, was a European mastermind of this complex operation. Trained as a hypnotist, he preyed on young people, getting them to walk, talk, look, act the same, while promising them absolute individuality and hipness. He would always say, "People don't make the clothes make the people." Same music, same food, same dress, same philosophy. That would be his ideal scenario. Frank Asarko was also known as the elegant Slav. He was in the oil manufacturing business. He had several hundred politicians on salary as police chief, all the Supreme Court justices. Frank carried himself in a very slovenly way. His infrequent bathing was a strain on most people who met him. While having billions and billions and billions of dollars, he would spend less than $5 a year on soap. Because of this, cotton wearers and Mideast businessmen stopped selling him oil and opened up their own gas stations. Imagine people from the Mideast opening up their own gas station. Frank turned red. How dare they open up their own gas station? It's against the law. Frank would make any inventor who came across an alternative fuel source to disappear. Here one day, next day gone. There are people who could make cars run on everything from water to vegetable oil, but they were forced to play a game called hide. You know the game like hide and seek? But this game they play is you just hide and they never saw you again. Technology bubbles over. Spaceman, spacewoman, neck high in darkness, crucial point. Thank God for sound. Through sound, I'm learning how to live. I'm possessed by life. Bob Jefferson speaks, present time, Punkville. I turn, lift myself from the bed, stretch my back, and try to hold on to these tears. I don't want to be here. I will have to dig deep to move past this fog. Tomorrow is election day, and I'm running against myself. How can I lose? This is a setup. Here comes my campaign manager. His name is Mr. Wynn. I'm Mr. Wynn, your campaign manager. How are you? How you doing, Bob? Tomorrow's a big day. You're gonna win, you know that. You can't lose because you're running against yourself. But it's not fixed now. We don't fix elections here. We don't do such things like that. There are certain people who will expect certain things to exchange for getting you elected. You know what I mean? He begins to sing, you know what I mean? Birds are high in the sky. They elect you. You pass bills and laws. They benefit their own interest, baby. Jefferson looks into space. Hey, Bob, are you hearing me? Jefferson swallows and replies, yes, I understand. Mr. Wynn points toward some leather chairs which are leaning against the wall. Have a seat. Have a seat. So it moves on, and Bob, just tell you a little something. Bob is going to the gig, gets sidetracked, he gets put in the position of being mayor of Punkville. He's got certain requirements. He's got to lie, he's got to steal, he's got to support this bad system of all kinds of evil things that happen, you know. And so now he just wants to play cosmic music. He doesn't want to get involved in this stuff. Okay. Poem. It is a gray Monday in East Alabama. The pig wars have been going on for 35 years. The enemy who was once a friend is finally defeated, and it looks like peace will come in 1 minute. Instead of going home to their families, the victorious soldiers begin to kill each other. The farmer's mule working in a nearby field hears the fighting, takes off her plow, and goes over and makes a break for it. She does this without realizing the world is broken. The mule yells, "Stop! Stop! Stop fighting right now!" The soldiers continue to shoot at each other. 100 or more gunshots fire. The soldiers drag the carcass of the mule across the road, draping it in red, white, and blue flag. They continue to shoot at one another until no one is standing. The farmer returns home, finds his mule has been killed. Why did you kill my mule? They killed your mule because the world is broken. And that's what we do. I think they kill your mule because they are very sick, gun-happy thugs. Don't make excuses for them. If the world is broken, they broke it. Every time we kill another human being, every time we steal or cheat, we are breaking the world. God did not break the world. The trees, the birds, sunrise, clouds did not break the world. Sunset, lakes, or horizon, waterfalls, winds, mountains, rivers, or flowers did not break the world. Music, poetry, and dance and art didn't break the world. Did the oppressed people of the world break it? Did the Cherokee, Sioux, Hopi, and Cree break it? Did the slaves brought from Africa break it? Did children, mothers, and grandmothers, or winos break the world? Where and who is the real enemy? After the talk and dust settles, we are left with ourselves. What shall we do when we have no other song except the self? Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the most evil of them all? Why did I sit back and let them break the world? What was I doing that was so important that I couldn't stop them? Why? And let them start this war. Why didn't I rise up after the first child was murdered? Why didn't I let them invent bombs and guns? It wasn't their world, it was our world. I sat back and let them do this because they said, we are the greatest. We were so great when we did evil, it was good. When we lied, it was the truth. Then I saw the results of this evil that were supposed to be good. It wasn't. It was more evil than the old evil. It was a new deal. It was a new lie. It was a death wrapped in a flag. Okay, so let's go to recollection. Skipping around. All right, actually, let's go a little further. And a little further. Okay. Rain dances atop the ocean. Each drop descends, forming a city for a fish to live. All the singing, all those years comes together in one shape. Time starts to glow, and Aunt Etta's soup is piping hot. Sappy's arms hold the past in its joints. He is bringing his amulet to the cushion, resetting the words of Buddha. He takes a deep breath. Buddha farts, and the wind clears the room. How can we get to the spirit to lift up so we can straighten things out? Muhammad standing at the Hudson River wearing a blue pea coat and a sailor hat looks into the eyes of this dream and says, I am Jesus and Jesus is Muhammad. We are unified. We are one of the same blood. Why don't they know that? We are different, but we are identical. We are different, but we are identical. Earthquake brothers. Earthquake brothers live below the rocks. They make and play earth drums. Their drumming is the cause of the phenomena man calls earthquakes. There are these dancers called the hurricane dancers from the southeast, north, and west. When they dance, hurricanes are created. As the earth pulls further away from the creator, there'll be more and more hurricanes, more earthquakes. These gangsters who are in control, they will step on anybody, anything to have power. They're obsessed with power, with this insatiable need to control. This thirst cannot be filled, so they are putting pressure on the inevitable to step it up. They are backing the wall against itself. You cannot blackmail the earth. A deaf politician owns all the record companies. A blind guide led us into nowhere, a world where lost, dead people live, and people who don't even know they have died jump. Dance is slow and direct, hitting the target dead center all day, like stale, gray ghosts. They linger, but the road is open, no fences. I've been mayor for 6 months. The people I meet every day are cool and detached from reality. They are contracted through invisible things called cell phones. This system of propaganda spreads. Everyone that is using cell phones will eventually get brain cancer. The latest smear campaign was spreading the rumor that hope was dead. There was a funeral and even an official day of mourning. This, of course, is not true. Hope is not dead. Even the flames of despair are engulfing the entire world. Hope is reproducing and enlarging itself in the hearts of those who will let it in. They are living their lives. They are hope itself. The caterpillar turns into the butterfly. Hope turns into a stream through continuous miracles. We live in this miracle every day. All right, page 25, the scrolls. Before the father of sound became the father of sound, he realized that he was actually the mother of sound, because only mothers could give birth. I am 70 years old and I still have no answer. How do I attain the secrets of the big dream without feedback that occurs from such searching? A voice called out, there's no other way except to become the rose of compassion. This rose feels everything. Every pain, every tear, every wandering thought, every wish, every sigh of sadness that exists in this world. You must fill your entire being with this compassion until you understand the concept of selflessness. Your neighbor's child is your child. Your neighbor is your brother who will die for you. Because he is you and you are him. You are her and she is you. Each sound you make is for them. Each sound of every day that you are alive is devoted to their salvation. Through sound, I anoint onto you the gift of music. Because in the world, the eyes are tone, muse, gatherer, physician. This is your title. You will be called Orphan, father of sound, Orphan, mother of sound. Bring sound that heals the world. The first horizon is harmony, living in harmony with all that has been created, creating things that will enhance this existing harmony. Second horizon is melody. Everything in this universe has melody and personality. There will be millions of rainbows on this horizon, and each rainbow sings a melody that has purpose and being. Melody is another name for memory. When someone says, I can't remember, she is saying, I don't recall the melody. Melody is the implanted voice of spirit in our souls. The third horizon is rhythm. Rhythm is the heartbeat of the universe. Everything living has rhythm. And within these cycles and systems of rhythm, we discover rain rhythms, snow rhythms, sunshine rhythms, wind rhythms, the flapping of wings, the gait of horses, the melting of ice, repetition of lightning. All of these things live in the rhythm of the horizon. Fourth horizon is silence. We're going to move on to the exciting climax. Now, if you're interested in what went on before we got here, you can make it up yourselves. Or you can buy the book, or you can read the book over, take the book to the bathroom and read it. It's not very many pages, and just read it and you find out where it's going. Okay. Part 3, Ascension. The largest crime organization in the world is called the White House. They seem to control the cocaine, heroin trade, hence the name the White House. All the crime families work out of this place, those known and those unknown. Most of them are unknown. It seems they are in over their heads. They have gone too far. I knew it would only be a matter of time before their arrogance would swing around and slap them in the face. Punkville is a microcosm of this conquered world. It is the training ground for the future insanity. If they complete their plans, this insanity will be normal. If they complete their plans, this insanity will be normal. No one will be capable of hearing the truth. What they don't know is that Cosmic Music Orchestra is ready. We have all the cosmic musicians in the world united, practicing in basements, in barns, in fields, in mountains. When the signal is given, the world will never be the same. The double reed music of the sonar, S-O-R-N-A, is being played and goes along with the voice of Reverend Smith, the Hallelujah Man. So you have the Hallelujahs and you have the sonar from Iraq, Iran, and other places. Double reed, searing sound. There's a dark side that will not give up on the destruction of the universe. No matter how late we stay up, it will happen. This is our boldest, most difficult move. No revenge, no killing, just transformation through sound. I thank all the people in my life who have helped me. I thank them. The sky is a sea of images. Bright yellow birds fly across it and land on the roof of a green cloud. The weather in Punkville is quadrasonic. It's raining on the north side, the sunshine on the south side, the east side is foggy, and it's lightly snowing on the west side. Cultural surprise, the mayor of Punkville is also a musician, and I quit. I will be presenting a day-long concert to honor freedom. All the impresarios of Punkville will have booths, but guys like Myron White, Donald Trump, like, I say that loud because in 1999, he was not liked either. So, but I couldn't use Donald Trump because we were being watched and spies. So Donald Trump, little guys like Silly Masawaki, Chocolate Cake and his partner Vanilla Cheesecake, and big guys like Crank Lasario, all of these people were becoming hypnotized by the Zerna music. The circus acts, musicians, clowns, the Rip Rock Brothers, Oatmeal Jackson, Billy the Kid, playing down-home gospel, and the blues guys from the Deep South are all putting it together. Musicians are coming from all parts of the world, from Africa, Asia, Australia, North and South America. There are literally hundreds of musicians. The event is delayed for 5 days due to a gigantic load-in and setup. They're all coming, the Cherokee, the Sioux, the Hopi, the sound makers, the hoop dancers, from next door to the furthest parts of the universe. Double reeds, triple reeds, strings, horns, drums, all of the voices to form a different sound universe. Honey Boy, I don't know if we've ever mentioned Honey Boy, but Honey Boy is also a gangster. And he spent most of his days with big jars of honey, just eating honey all day. He has an underground crew, and they're making some last plans. The main objective is to take over the world. This was to include owning, controlling all the natural resources, running all the major governments in the world, creating a world genocide system that activities swallow themselves. The earth itself is dying because we used up all the resources. We've changed the weather patterns and set the Earth on an unbalanced axis. In other words, we have used up the planet, and I no longer have a use for it. So you don't think we can reverse the process, says the Secretary of Environment, Helen Mitchell? We can't control the world and save it at the same time, says Honey Boy. So what is the solution? Let's ask Uncle Tom Johnson, the only minority in the whole government. And he was so happy to get that name, Uncle, because that's like a, it's an authority. He thought that he was going to be, Honey Boy answers, looking at Tom Johnson as though he was crazy. We leave the Earth like the chosen ones. We leave on rocket ship called Rocket Ship Number 9. We've been preparing this for years. And we were just sending stuff in outer space. It was being prepared so we could make our exit after we messed up the world. This rocket ship would transport us to Turon, a planet we've known about for hundreds of years. This planet is just like the Earth. It's twin. It has an atmosphere that can support life. There's water and everything else we would need to exist. Going there would be our second chance to get it right. We could have a parallel Earth with all the oil, gold, diamonds, uranium, precious metals that we would need to mess it up again. My top scientists have assured me that this mission can and will be successful on all levels. Only the chosen ones would be allowed to go. This new empire would give us a chance to repeat history, but this time, again, do it right. Helen Mitchell says, what do you mean, do it right? Yeah, no third world people will be allowed. No third world people. No brown, black, bronze people will be allowed. For the first time in history, we will have to learn to entertain ourselves. We'll have to learn to tap dance. We'll have to learn to get Sir Boss and know Sir Boss. But we can do it. We can do it. General Wally Wallace smiles and says, I think we are out of our minds to try this. I'll begin to gather my army. How many people are ready to go? 250 passengers is the limit. That's it. We will handpick everybody. But there's hope for you, Uncle Tom Johnson. We're going to leave you here on Earth to take care of the Earth. So you are one of us. Just because your name is Uncle Tom does not mean that you don't have any power. Oh, honey boy, I've been loyal to you from the beginning. In fact, my mother's breast milk kept you alive when we were kids. Remember that? You got your name from my Uncle Honey. People think it's because you like honey, but I know you got the name from my Uncle Honey. You asked me to steal, and I stole. You asked me to lie, and I lied. You asked me to spy, and I spied. Now you leave while I'm holding this greasy bag, a bag left in the closet, rats in the alley, looking for cheese, fingernail clippings in my pocket. Uncle Tom, you will be responsible for the Earth. When the hurricanes come and the earthquake comes, you just get out there and you tell them, I'm Uncle Tom Johnson. I'm the president of the world. Isn't that something? All right, we're getting there. Don't worry. All right, 2 more pages. Recollection number 4. In the shallow part of the pond, flying across the top of my head is a silver crow. Never seen a silver crow before. Another school bus stops on the side of the road where a stock market man sits a few feet away, analyzing what stocks to buy. He speaks. This is a message to all the kids out there. I want you to have as much fun as possible, The next thing I want you to do is learn as much as you can. Read every book in the library, backwards and forwards. Then talk to the old folks and the guy standing on the corner. Spend some time in the kitchen with grandma. Listen to the birds singing. Head out west and find a mountain. Drench yourself in the long-awaited sunrise. In the long-awaited sunrise. Okay, one more page. Now, what do you think is going to happen? Any guesses? What? The world ends. Okay, that's a good guess. Anybody else? Okay, here we go. The sky is now deep purple, maybe for the last time. All kinds of drums are sounding, along with cymbals, rattles, and gongs, as the light of the sun pours in through the eyes of the seers. The moon appears over the eastern mountains. This prelude song for 3 days goes on. Bob Jefferson in the middle of the flow submitting to the song. It was a music from the Middle Earth. This sound will you hear for many days until it began to rain a beautiful light sadness rain. One day of scary silence and another day of brown darkness, and from time to time you could see yellow shooting stars move across the sky. People who have lived their entire lives in hotels have never been able to get outside. They instantly see the missing parts to the puzzle, the lie and the truth inside the myth. The apple pie and cup of coffee people have been talking about for years is just everywhere. We have apple pie and cup of coffee everywhere. Uncle Tom Johnson, almost the first black president. Almost. All the models and actresses and actors take off their makeup and suddenly realize that the play is life, not a play or movie at all. There's no greater self than the self that is you. Without the makeup, they have a chance to be truly beautiful. They keep looking and they say, wow, I spent a lot of money on makeup I didn't even need. Then, all of a sudden, bright lights in the sky. Boom! The rocket ship blew up. Every bad guy in the world was in that rocket ship. And it blew up. They didn't make it. So now, Uncle Tom Johnson, he's in heaven. He said, I told you so. I told you so. Let's do the cleanup and put things right and get things back on course. They're gone. We're here. Okay. Thank you.
If everyone could just stay in their seats, that would be great. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's my immense pleasure to introduce an artist whose groundbreaking work has shaped the very possibilities of contemporary performance art, Marina Abramović. Known for her radical, fearless, and often transformative engagements with the human body, mind, and spirit, Abramović has redefined not only what art can be, but how we, as viewers, participate in the creation of meaning itself. Her practice, spanning over 5 decades, has involved a profound interrogation of endurance, vulnerability, and the visceral connection between artist and audience. Abramović's works do not merely present art in the traditional sense. They invite us to inhabit it. From her iconic performances like Rhythm Zero, where she placed herself in the hands of her audience in a raw exploration of power and trust, to The Artist is Present, where she sat silently across from countless individuals for hours on end. Abramović has steadfastly rejected the distance often maintained between artist and observer. Her pieces demand a rethinking of art as something active, lived, and deeply personal. Through her exploration of extreme physical and emotional states, she has sought to peel back the layers of human experience, challenging our preconceived notions of time, pain, and subjectivity. Yet, Abramović's work has not only expanded the formal boundaries of performance art, it invites us to confront intimate parts of ourselves, our fears, desires, and connections to one another. In many ways, Marina Abramović's art has also been a journey through the body, the mind, and the cultures and landscapes that have informed her own existence. This is perhaps most evident in her recent work, Nomadic Journey and Spirit of Places, a book that serves not only as an exploration of the landscapes she has traversed, but as a map of her internal terrain. Through a series of evocative narratives, Abramović reflects on the deep connection between her personal history and the places that have influenced her artistic evolution. Sharing her experiences in diverse and often sacred locations, each one leaving an indelible mark on her spirit and creative vision. This book offers an intimate look into how place, memory, and spirituality intertwine, and how identity, art, and locale are both deeply personal and universal. It's a profound reminder that Abramović's art has always been a search for transcendence, a search not only through the boundaries of physical endurance, but through the infinite, unknowable terrain of the self. And in that way, it is also an invitation to embark on our own journeys, whether across distant lands or through the uncharted territories of our own minds. Please join me in welcoming Marina Abramović.
This is a completely different trip that you just said before. So I never read in my life, and I always talk. And also I misspelling, I have Slavic accent, and it's going to be drama. But now I actually wanted to read from the book that I just published. And I'm sitting this way, and on the table, I just had a knee replacement, and it's not fun. Wait, so I would try to sit and talk. Much. And I like tables. So, the book is called Nomadic Journey and Spirit of Places. It's published by the Prestel, and they didn't deliver any copy here. I'm so sorry for that. Okay. So, I read you parts of that book. And then you understand what it's about. For over 40 years, I have collected stationery from different guest houses, motels, inns, bed and breakfast places. When I started the collection, I did not have any clear purpose. For me, it was just about the recollection of the places where I stay and my fascination with the names of the hotels and the diverse stationery designs, the quality of paper, etc. Then one day, a very clear idea appeared in my mind that this should be an artist's book. I believe we as humans need to keep moving forwards, and my own life has been purely nomadic. My home was everywhere. I went because my home is my own body. This book should be seen as a diary filled with writings, poetry, cutouts, collages, photographs, drawings, printed in stationery and preserved for many of my journeys. And I call it Nomadic Journey and Spiritual Places. And it's really important that actually this image I cut when I was 20 years old in Belgrade, when I was in ex-Yugoslavia. And this was just from the newspaper. And this is very old woman and very young boy, and they both have a kind of, cane. And they look like really ready for the journey. And it fascinates me. I have no idea who is the woman, I have no idea who is the boy, but this presents this book. Okay, now, so it's all different pieces here and there, and every time, of course, is the image and the hotels. And in the beginning, I didn't have any money, so I stayed. The hotels was like -5 stars. I stayed in India in the hotel where the toilet paper was more expensive than the room. I mean, and so on and so on. Then life goes better. Now, we are doing better. So. Let's see what I first wanted to read you. I was always fascinated by the secrets of the black stone. The idea is so for me to touch and kiss, the collective energy turned into one stone. So to me it was this incredible idea just in Mecca, but then later on I made the journey in Brazil, and then Australia, which I stayed 1 year with Aborigines. And then I remember one old medicine man just came to me and said, I'd like to show you my grandfather. So we went to grandfather. Grandfather was big black stone. And he very gently, little brushed the stone and kissed the stone and talked to the stone and sing song and dance. And I realized this was not that he looked like grandfather, this was a real grandfather. And I just realized how everything in our life is so connected. So the next thing is completely different. You're making totally the journeys through my life and all disconnected things. Tito dead. Tito, he was president of the country where I lived, which was Yugoslavia. Now, it's not one country. Now we are talking about 6 countries. Basically, Americans came, they made the war, they didn't find the oil, and they left us. And then we had 6 countries. So I always think that I come from there. But apart of this, when Tito's funeral was incredibly important to me, because something to do with my youth, something to do with giving back, all my memories. I knew the time would change. And by that time, everything changed. So Tito was really important. So I saw the funeral when I was in Amsterdam, 40 hours, cry completely through the whole thing, and just found in the newspaper, Tito is taught. So I put it there in my hotel journey. Then there's another little poetry here. We just left, but the energy stays on the table, on the chair, in the space, and in the viewer's memory. It's all about performance. Performance is such a material form of art. You can't touch it, you can't hang on the wall like a painting. But when you see performance, really move you, and it's emotional, but also it's a transformative. And all what is left is a memory. So it's the most immaterial form of art, apart of music. If I make some kind of pyramid of the importance of art, I will put music always on the absolutely top, because it's the most immaterial form of art. Go straight to your heart, straight to your body. There is no object between you and the performer. Then I have something called spirit cookings. The spirit cooking, I'm being completely, classified as a Satanist and being really complained about. It's a long story. But this poetry is basically, I call spirit cooking, and it's a poetry. So I read you one. Breakfast, 9 glasses of water. Lunch, 9 glasses of water. Dinner, 9 glasses of water. That's it. Okay, next one. With a sharp knife, cut deeply into the middle finger of your left hand, eat the pain. So that's one advice. Another one is even more crazy. fresh morning urine sprinkle over nightmare dreams. Very helpful. That's things that I was always interested in is another hotel, you know, the stationery. I was always interested in levitation, in telekinesis, in SP, extrasensory powers, automatic writings, ectoplasm, telepathy, out-of-body experience, and trance, and I'm still. But it's interesting about the telepathy. It's so simple. You need only four years to learn, and it's so much better than telephone. So now this is Emirat Palace. I have no idea what I was doing in Emirates, but this is something that I found from the 27th of June, 1968. And this is a lecture that Caroline Schliemann, which is a great American artist, just died. And she done this in the lecture on the London Institute in London, 1968. So this is her lecture. Can an art historian be a naked woman? Does a woman have intellectual authority if she's naked? Can she have public authority while naked and speaking? Was the concept of lecture less appreciated when she was naked? And the last question she had, what multiple levels of uneasiness, pleasure, curiosity, erotic fascination, acceptance, or rejection were activated in the audience looking her naked? It's 1968, not bad. Okay. So here I have June 12, 1987, somewhere Morrison Hotel, I don't know where is this, in Ireland. I watched the sky through the spider web, through the captured seal bug in the spider bag, through the eagle flying high, and then the cloud came. I'm starting to feel peace with me slowly, slowly. So that's the one, it's almost poetry. Then we have so far into the void, and there resting in quietness. I was so interested about emptiness and void, especially about non-thinking process, and this is very much to do with my work and long durational performances. So sometimes I don't write big text, I write little drawings, little text, that's it, you know, not big story. This is something that I have only person in my life. I have a brother, Marina Abramović, and he wrote when he was only 14 his poetry, and I was so fascinated about actually depths of that poetry already at 14. He said, building an abyss under the bridge is a skill only of most skillful builders. So just the idea to talk about actually void, not the bridge itself, but the void. It's pretty strong stuff. Okay. Then I say, I would like for my work to function as a constant mirror for the user of my objects, so that they do not see me in the work, but they rather see themselves, which is a fundamental thing. This is something related to my transitory objects, which I made. They're not sculptures, they're transitory objects. When I walk the Great Wall of China with Ulay, we each walk separately, 2,500 kilometers, we meet in the middle and say goodbye. And I realized that this was the first time the public was not even there. So I was thinking how I can transmit experience to the people who was not there. And then I understand that each time I work on the different materials, like amethyst, the quartz, the copper, the hematite, I will feel differently. So I start doing the objects that public can interact and feel the same kind of energy I felt. And the transitory objects are not sculptures. When you experience them, you don't need object anymore. So here is another concept from the 512 hours. I made it to work in Serpentine Gallery with absolutely nothing. I just asked public to come into empty spaces and face the wall, walk around, stand in silence, and they have to leave the telephone, the computer, and the watch in the locker. They will get the headphones, and they will just be in complete silence. They will be together, but in the silence at the same time. And it was really a very strong experience. It was 3 months like that, 8 hours a day. And I remember the little kid coming, only 12 years old, and he's just stand there with the headphones, and he said, "But these headphones don't work." I said, "Of course it doesn't work. It's actually about, silencing the headphones. It's no sound." He never in his life had the headphones in his ears that nothing comes through. So he broke the entire school. So next day, all the kids were standing in a silence. It really was important to me to introduce kids, detox of technology at that time. So the concept of the piece was, from nothing, something may or may not happen. That's it. God, I'm really minimal, I'm saying to you. So with Artist is Present, I find, this, I think this piece, everybody knows, 716 hours, 8 hours a day, motionless, and Friday night, actually 10 hours when the museum is open longer, which was hell. But then I found this incredible, beautiful monk text that really, for me, reflects so much my state of mind at the time. An unknown monk, I don't know his name, he said, "The movement in the middle of silence, the silence in the middle of the movement. At the beginning of my life, I traveled a lot. I kept making trips. I was restless. But since I have my temple, the visitors come to see me." And this is what really happened to me. Museum MoMA was temple at that time. Then I really love Nikola Tesla. I'm not talking Elon Musk I'm talking Nikola Tesla, the real guy. So he said Nikola Tesla could meditate on 3-dimensional visions of his inventions. And then I just asked myself, who are the artists? What is the art? Marlowe and Picasso, African masks, are tools. That Marlowe went to see the Picasso, and he sees so many African masks, but he never went to Africa. And he said, "Why you have all these masks?" And then Picasso said, "They are just the tools to understand how my paintings can elevate my spirit." And art had to be disturbing, predicting the future. And in Dostoevsky Idiot, we talk about epilepsy and Kundalini go wrong. So that's really complicated to explain. But in Idiot, one of the characters had epilepsy attack. And to me, it was fascinating how he described this epilepsy attack before it happened. He talked about incredible luminosity. He talked about his mind becoming incredibly sharp, that he could see nature in a perfect harmony, and the body and the brain could not take it. And this caused epilepsy attack, because we are not ready for that kind of harmony. Have to go slowly. We have to learn. We have to actually, learn to get to that kind of state. Okay. So another thing I just write, taking risk means accepting failure. So important. We have to be not afraid of risk, and we have to accept that on the way maybe we fail. But if you always go for security, you never change. So you have to fail, and just fail, and then stand up and do again. And then I have completely just a letter I'm writing. Very, very actually pissed to these minerals people, because I'm working with minerals. And I said, "Dear Manfredo, I send you 5 faxes until now. Please, can you reply? I want to do order from you 40 rose quartz, 15 clear quartz, 5 amethyst, 20 hematite. Please let me know. Price, please, please, please." Because, the Brazilians, wow. They don't work. I was working with these minerals, and I have to go to the mines, and they always come too late. So I went back to New York, I went to Chinatown, and I bought 35 swatches cheap, and I brought them watches, and just to can control the time. They were so happy with the gift, and it was late anyway. There's nothing they can change. Oh, it's another great story. I was in Belém, it's also north of Brazil, and I was doing cultural center lecture, and lecture's supposed to start, at the 3 o'clock, and I arrive always early, 2:15, to prepare. It was only cleaning lady, nobody else, just cleaning lady, and no, I see people, coming 10 to my time of lecture, 10 to 3:15. Absolutely no human. I never been in a situation that not one person came to my lecture in my life. And then start terrible tropical rain. And the cleaning lady just sit on the chair and wait till rain stop. And me too, I could not get out. Then rain stopped about 4:20. And then I was just about to leave. And everybody came. I was full of people. I said, what's wrong? He said, of course, everybody know you come after the rain. And then I have my little like a dictionary for K, karma, for L, luminosity, for M, mind and miracle. Then we have nature and non-duality, and for O, obstacle, openness, for pain and passion. For R, razor age and romanticism. For S, self-space, Scorpio. Well, it's interesting. For A, animal sacrifice, anger, aggression. For B, the body. For C, chaos, confusion, continuity. For D, doubts, dualism, deception, discovery, death. For A, emotions, emptiness, energy, experience. For F, free will. For G, goal, and gap, why gap? And then for H, hope, happiness, habitant, patterns, hopelessness, and then we have ignorance, irritation, initiation. Okay, that's about Kabbalah. Then we have, so something, now I'm getting to good hotel, Four Seasons. So Four Seasons, we have, hair should smell like a wildflower in the field and the wind. Body should smell like a freshwater spring, and sex should smell like the sea. And then I have a little drawing, all my pains, all different parts of the body. It's always pain somewhere, And then this beautiful text of T.S. Eliot. He said, "Go, go," said the bird. Humankind cannot bear very much reality. That's how true. And then something there's some notes from Australia. Spirit beings mostly appear in the shape of animals. Sometimes they assume human features, but more frequently they take the form of stones which are broken and full of living blood and flesh. And ending of this whole thing is what I'm thinking about in between. In between is the space where I find myself after I leave from somewhere and before I went somewhere else. Airports, waiting rooms, bus stations, tram stations, office, shops, shopping malls, lobbies, hotel rooms, restaurants, swimming pools, gyms. In between is the space where I think, look, collecting impressions, ideas. It's the space where I mostly live, in the space where anything can happen, and open a space to destiny. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marina Abramović and William Parker. Thank you. See you next week for Farnoosh Fathi and A.B. Spellman.